Hi, what's up? Super excited. Today I'm going to be walking you through my first real digital art speed paint on this channel, start to finish, my whole process. The finished piece is posted on my Instagram if you want to check it out at the end and also see some close-ups. Also, really quick before we get started, I just want to give a quick flash warning. I tried to edit out the parts where I could, but sometimes when I switch layers it might look like flashing lights, so I just want to give a heads up if you're sensitive to that. Alright, let's get to the painting. So if you know me in real life, you know I'm constantly taking like really horrible pictures of everything around me because I'm always looking for art inspiration, and this piece actually comes from one of those pictures. A few months ago, I was walking around the marine science department of my university at night because I'm obsessed with fish and I think it's cool looking at the tanks, and I looked into this classroom from the outside with a bunch of fish tanks everywhere, and I thought it just looked so cool with all the lights off, so I snapped this really blurry picture and kept it for a long time, not knowing what I wanted to do with it. But a few days ago, the light bulb went off and I was like, yo, alright, I know what I'm gonna do, so pulled it out from my camera roll and yeah, started drawing this. Personally, I don't really do that much sketching before I get into coloring, and I think that's for a few reasons. I think it's mainly because the vast majority of my art has no real line art. I don't like line art. I really don't. It's not fun for me, so I really don't do it very often, and as a result, there aren't really too many line decisions I have to make early on. But also, I think the minimalist sketching is also a little bit because I just really love coloring. It's my favorite part of art, and I kind of just want to jump right into that because when I think about a piece in my head, what's at the forefront every time is the colors. So I just want to get started putting those out in front of me so I can start really working on what's in my head. Okay, so right about now what you're seeing is me adding in a picture of a traditional sketch. A lot of the time when it comes to drawing living things that are the main subject of the piece or just kind of in the foreground, I find it works a lot better for me to sketch on paper and then transfer that sketch into the digital canvas, and then I color over it. I don't know if that has something to do with the fact that I don't use a stylus. Probably a little bit. Just easier for me to draw with the pencil sometimes. But yeah, I just like to do that. Also, guys, I can't tell you how much fun it is to me to draw fish tanks. Like, I'm serious, it is absolutely one of my favorite things to do. I just think it's so interesting. You have these environments within an environment, and there are so many different directions you can go with them, so many different colors. So this drawing, obviously with like 50 billion fish tanks in it, was just so much fun. So one thing I like to do with a lot of my work is to try to tell a story. It can be a bit of a challenge sometimes because, you know, you're working with a static image, you're not even working with sequential illustration, aka comics, so you have one picture to try to tell a series of events, which can be kind of like a puzzle sometimes. Obviously, the senior drawing depicts the present of the scene, right? And so one of the keys to creating a story, which is in essence a sequence of events, is to weave hints about the past into your drawing. So in this case, the story I'm trying to tell is a dragon who just escaped his tank, and he's trying to hide from, I don't know, whomever runs this, wherever he is, who knows. And so the way I'm trying to tell the story is body language, really important, so I'm having him kind of curled up into this little shape hiding behind the fish tank, but also, you know, you have the broken glass that's very visible to the viewer, very close to the subject. So yeah, you know, just kind of like giving hints as to what just happened. So I mentioned body language really quickly, but yeah, I also think that's majorly important when it comes to telling a story, because body language not only can tell you what just happened, but it can also tell you what's about to happen because of the knowledge we have about how things move, right? So in a little bit you're going to see me add a figure in the distance coming through the door, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Here I'm starting to work on the environments for the top two tanks. I really wanted to go with a vibrant, natural feel, so I decided lots of moss and grass and branches would be the way to go. Also decided to make these tanks without tops so I could accentuate that natural feeling of the room and have plants growing out from the tanks. I wanted this room to give the impression that it's being fully used, and I felt like the foreground was a little bit vacant for that, so I thought it might be interesting to add some vague plant shapes towards the front to help frame the whole scene. So jumping back to the idea of a story, it's really important to keep in mind what just happened when you're drawing. And in this case, like I said before, this dragon just broke out of this tank, so what had to have happened was that a bunch of the water spilled out, so that's currently missing in the drawing, which I realized, so I decided let's add a puddle under him to really show that he just emerged from this tank. Alright, now I'm starting that figure I mentioned before. So, like I said, body language is crucial to giving your viewers an understanding of the story of your piece. And in this case, I started off drawing the figure on paper just from my head, what I was envisioning. What I wanted was for it to look like he had just burst the door and he just came in running and was sort of skidding to a halt trying to figure out what's going on, but it really wasn't looking convincing enough. So what I did was, and I'm not gonna show this because it's like terrible, but I took a video of myself like running and then trying to skid to a halt, and then I paused that video and drew from that because I really wanted it to look convincing what he was doing. So I hope that works. I hope it does give the impression that he just kind of burst into the room. After that, I just added some finishing touches with the lighting, just balancing out the edges of the leaves in the foreground and touching up some other parts. So I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I like the colors, it was fun, it was a challenge, and I hope you like it too. Thanks for joining, and hope I see you around. Bye bye.